Hello, and welcome to the second video of my series, Danny on Clarinet. Today, we'll be talking about the parts of the clarinet and how to put the clarinet together. Let's get started. First, we're going to talk about all of the different parts of the clarinet, starting from the bottom, going all the way up to the top. So first, we have the bell of the clarinet. Now, if you're following along and looking at the parts of your clarinet, if you have your clarinet with you, just make sure that your case is on the floor and that you open it with the logo side up. So first, we have the bell. The next part up is the lower joint of the clarinet. It looks like this. Next, we have the upper joint. Then comes the barrel, which is where we attach our mouthpiece. Finally, we have the mouthpiece. As you can see here, let's go ahead and take the mouthpiece cap off. And here is what your mouthpiece looks like, with the ligature around it. It does not have a reed on it right now, but I will show you how to put on the reed later in this video. Before I get into putting the clarinet together, I'm just going to show you what the ligature and reed look like separate from the mouthpiece. So here's the ligature. This is the little metal piece that holds the reed onto the mouthpiece. And here, in a case for storage, is our reed. We go ahead and take the reed out. This is what it looks like. And when we're handling the reed, we're going to be very careful to only touch it by the bottom and the sides of the reed, and never to touch up here at the top, because this is very fragile. And reeds are expensive. I'll just mention again, before we start putting our clarinet together, that it's very important to open your case on the floor and with the logo side facing up, because a lot of damage can occur to the clarinet if the case is opened upside down, or if pieces fall out of the case and hit the floor. To begin assembling the clarinet, first we're just going to check that all of the parts of our clarinet are in its case, including the reed in its case, and perhaps some cork grease and a cleaning swab for use later. To start putting our clarinet together, we're going to begin with the lower joint of the clarinet. This is the one that only has the cork on one side and does not have the logo on it, as you can see here. Now, before I start putting the clarinet together, I'm just going to really quick show you how to grease your corks, because sometimes the clarinet won't slide together that easily, so we have to add a bit of lubricant on the cork. So your cork grease is probably going to come in a container like this. You're just going to take the tiniest bit on your finger and apply it nice and evenly, not too much, around your cork. Which is going to make putting together your clarinet a whole lot easier. Now our cork is greased and we're ready to put together our clarinet. So with our lower joint, we're going to take the bell of the clarinet and gently twist the bell, not putting too much pressure on the clarinet, onto the lower joint. There we go. Now that we have the lower joint attached to the bell, we're going to take the upper joint, which looks like this. Probably is going to have another logo on it and has corks on both sides. And the way that we attach the upper joint to the lower joint is by putting our fingers on these keys, because in between the upper and lower joint, there is what is called a bridge key. Now this bridge key connects to the bridge key, as seen right here, on the lower joint. And these are going to help connect the key work from the upper joint to the lower joint. So when attaching the upper joint, we're going to hold down these keys, raising the bridge joint the bridge key, if you can see that. We're going to hold those keys down and gently twist the upper and lower joint together. And what pressing those keys down does is it raises the bridge key off of the lower joint bridge key so that that key can't be bent when we try to put it together. And when we put it together, we want to make sure that those bridge keys are aligned and the lower joint bridge key is directly underneath the upper joint bridge key so that it functions like this. Now we could move on to the barrel and the mouthpiece. Putting the barrel on is pretty simple. Again, this is what the barrel looks like. We're going to take the barrel, slide the wider end onto the top of our upper joint, and gently twist with just the tiniest bit of pressure to put on the barrel. Let's look at the mouthpiece. So for beginners, before I put the reed on, I'm going to take the ligature off of the mouthpiece and attach it to the clarinet before I put the ligature and reed on, just so that we don't damage the reed. So we're going to take the side with the hole in it and face it towards us with the rest of the clarinet facing away from us. And we're going to put it together the same as we've done with everything else, using a gentle amount of pressure and just twisting very gently onto the rest. Now our clarinet is almost together. The last step to assembling our clarinet will be putting the reed and the ligature on the mouthpiece. So first, we're going to want to wet our reed and let it soak either in our mouths or in a cup of water. And once you get really good at putting the clarinet together, you can do this actually while you're putting the rest of your clarinet together. So let your reed soak in your mouth or in a cup of water. Then first, we're going to slide our ligature. Now ligatures are built differently, so some may have these little knobs on the inside facing you or on the outside facing away from you. So either on the reed side or not. With this ligature, they're on the side that the reed goes. You're going to loosen them so that the ligature slides nicely and loosely onto the mouthpiece. Now when our reed is soaked and ready to go, all that we're going to do is push up with our other hand on the ligature, making space for the reed, and being very careful to only touch the reed by the bottom and the sides here. And we're just going to slide the reed underneath the ligature. Now, it's very important that we line up the tip of the reed with the end of the mouthpiece, just like I'm showing you. And then we're going to let that ligature drop down over the reed, securing it into place. So the last step now is just to tighten these knobs only about until they're just snug and not any tighter. And now our clarinet is assembled and ready to play. Now I'm going to walk you through the disassembly of the clarinet for just a bit and just show you the basics of how to take the clarinet apart. So, starting with the reed, we're going to gently twist the ligature, put our finger on the reed here, and slide the ligature off of the reed. And here we have our reed. And just gently, holding it by the bottom, sliding it bottom first into the case so that we don't damage the tip of the reed, and it just slides snugly back into the reed case. Now once we take the mouthpiece of our clarinet off, it's really important to clean the moisture out of our clarinet every single time that we take it apart, because playing and blowing hot air through the clarinet is going to cause some water to condense inside the body of the instrument, and we have to clean this out. So you're probably going to have a cleaning swab just like this with a little weight in the end of a long string. So we're going to take this weight and stick it into the top of the clarinet, just like this. Now take the rest of the cleaning swab and hold it over the top of the instrument, letting that weight slide through to the bottom. Now when you see the weight poking out of the bottom, we're just going to take the swab and slide it through the entire body of the clarinet. And this is kind of gross because it's all of our, it's not spit though, it's condensation from the moisture in our breath as we blow through the clarinet. So it's not that gross, but it's still a little gross. But now that our clarinet is nice and moisture free down the middle, we can go ahead and take it apart from the top down and put it back in its case gently. That's all for this video, guys. Thanks so much.